Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, Dogs. This story takes place in the Vietnamese War between Vietnam and USA. It was provoked by the USA to try to stop the spread of communism during the Cold War. Private Cortez is in Ranger Squad 78, sent into the jungles of Vietnam to seek and kill the Vietnamese scum hiding within the trees. Their mission was intended to make it safer for tanks to pass through the jungles. Today we woke up to our first day of the mission. We're trying to hunt and kill those damn Viet Cong. We already found 3 of them hiding in trees like Haveman. I swear I saw a 4th, but the next time I looked at him he was gone. There was something weird about it. It's probably the heat. We sought out 7 more in the last 2 days for risk there is reward. But the risk was too much. One of those fucking monkeys popped out of a tree. Private Cornwell died yesterday. Bayonet on the Com's rifle went straight through his eye. The lucky bastard got out early. The thing that pissed me off was that the guy that killed Cornwell got away. I swear I shot at least half a mag at that little shit. Today we were looking at Cornwell's tags in remembrance. I took a look at them. They didn't spell out Cornwell's name. It said 13 more. I went to show Colonel Fitch, but the next time I looked at them, it said Tim Mathiar, Cornwell. Something fucked up is going on. I decided to not explain what I saw to the others. Probably the heat. For more people within my squadron have been killed, each one bearing a dog tag saying 12 more, or 9 more, and so on. No matter how many times I try to show someone, it doesn't work. Every fucking time I show them, it goes back to their name. But when they leave, and it's just me around, they go back to the message. Something is going on it. That's scaring me, man. It's the 4th of July. All is good in the world. Complete bullshit in Vietnam. There are still people who die every day. At this point, there are 7 more people left in my squad. Is this all really worth dying for? Just because the USA doesn't want people to be communist? This isn't worth my paycheck. Something weird is going on and my friends are victims of it. For more people in my squad died each time someone is killed. The amount of people left to be an ally raped by crazy ass bands, they treat people gets lower. Nobody believes me. They all think I'm hallucinating. It's the same Viet Cong soldier that's killing our squad. Always in the same manner with dogs that apparently want to make me look crazy. My squad has already issued an order to send my family a grievance under the fact that they think I've lost my mind. My children, my wife, my brothers and sisters are all going to think I'm crazy. I suppose it doesn't matter anymore, because I'm not getting out of this alive. Our Sergeant Martinez has died today. His dogs are different. This time, it says you're next. Isn't that dandy? Now the dogs say that I am to die next. Everywhere I look, I see the same soldier in a tree waiting. Blood and sweat all under his eyes. Yes, trying to confuse me. So I am going to simply shoot at every tree I see. The only member of my squad left is First Private Kozak. He's very angry with me now. I ran out of ammunition shooting at all the trees, so when he was sleeping, I took his gun and all of his ammunition. All of his bullets are now lodged in the bark and leaves of the canopy. We're now alone in the middle of the Vietnamese jungle, defenseless against any attackers besides our knives, bayonets, and grenades. Anyway, why does he care? Doesn't he know that he'll live and die? I'm going to die. Out of the corner of my eye, see the man with the bayonet. He's just watching me write this all down. I've decided that maybe I could break the chain somehow. I have stabbed Kozik in the chest. It didn't break the chain. Sadly enough, the man is still going to kill me. He even told me in Kozik's tags. They say, a sacrifice isn't enough. I'm not going to let him kill me. He can't get his way. He put me through too much hell. After I am done writing this, I'm going to shove a grenade in my mouth and pull the pin. The rest of the book is covered in blood. This page was bookmarked with a pin and a dog tag saying, "You're next. God have mercy on your soul." The second story, Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel sat next to me on the park bench. He is my best friend. I pointed to an old man that sat across from me. "What's he doing, Mr. Angel?" And unlit cigarettes at in the corner of the man's mouth. His eyes were withered with age as he stared blankly at nothing. Mr. Angel leaned close to me as he whispered into my ear, "He's looking for a woman he lost a long time ago." He cooed. His words felt warm against my cheek as I smiled up at him. I liked his secrets. Mr. Angel knew everything. "That's really sad, Mr. Angel." I said, "Why don't you help him?" I couldn't see it, since he didn't have a mouth. But he was smiling. He got up and walked silently over to the old man and set a single bony finger in the center of his chest before he turned away and took his seat next to me. I tugged on the black shroud that he always wore. "What did you do, Mr. Angel?" I asked. I could hear Mr. Angel sighed irritedly as he leaned against the scythe that he carried. "I sent him back to his woman." His voice rasped. "I took her a long time ago, and she was getting very lonely." I looked at the old man. He was hunched over his legs as he clutched painfully at his heart. His face looked like it was clamped shut, and I could hear him wheeze as he fought for breath. "Mr. Angel, what did you do?" I cried. "That's not helping him." But Mr. Angel sat silently as he watched the man suffer. I made tiny fists and tried to pound pathetically on his shoulders, but all I found was empty, cold air. A tear began to crawl down my cheek. "Mr. Angel," I screamed, "Mr. Angel, come back." The tears dripped below my eyes. I buried my head into my lap and wept. I turned and looked at the old man's body. It had gone stiff by now, but his face didn't look like it was seized tight and shut. He wasn't desperately clutching at his chest. He was lying on his back with his hands set neatly against his heart. His face looked relieved, calm, content. I slid off the park bench and got on my hands and knees. Any moment now that old cadaver would spring up and laugh in my face. I wanted to think it was some kind of horrible joke. I wish someone was laughing, but all I heard was the peace that follows after something has moved on. I loomed over the body as a teardrop landed on its skin. I didn't know what to do. "Please," I pleaded. "Get up. Please, get up." I shook its shoulder. "Nothing. Get up." I rested my palm alongside the man's hands. Nothing, no heartbeat. The old man is where he should be now. I heard an old voice beside me. "He is happy." His words whistled against my skin. I looked behind Mem. Rangel was watching from the park bench. "You killed him," I screamed. My breathing was accurate. The feeling in my legs was disappearing. Mr. Angel got up from the parking bench and walked over me. He knelt down, and I could feel his shroud move over me in a warm embrace. I looked up, and Mr. Angel, his blank face, stared pleasantly down at me. He gripped his scythe with one hand, and with the other hand he set it against my shoulder. I couldn't see it, but I could tell he was smiling. "Death I said to him. My voice was still hoarse as I choked down a few tears. Did you really help him? Death looked at me and leaned close. My dear little one, he whispered softly. Death can be many things. Death can be hard death, and be painful death will someday be at your heels. But never forget, the best thing to do when death greets you is embrace him as a friend. He pulled me closer to him. I could feel his shroud slowly wrap around me. It felt warm and cozy. It was good to be close to death. Now don't call me death. I'm an angel, remember? I laughed at him and wiped a tear away. Because you bring people to heaven, right? He could only nod. Mr. Angel, I said to him, you're my best friend, right? My breathing stopped, his smile was gone, and the shroud felt cold as it caressed my skin. Yes, Death rasped. I'm your best friend. The third story. Circle. Originally posted by Alan Jacoby on X. B. And for some unknown reason, B. The poster can still be found on Jacoby's blog at http Terribly Good Stuff blogspot.com 2011 6 Circle Creepypasta. HTML. The image originally posted with the poster on X. Jacoby has since removed the image from his blog. Alright people. I'm here because I need your help. I haven't got a lot of time. It'll be dark soon. You see, but I know that 4chan is generally the place to go when you need something. Or someone found it in a short amount of time. All I need is a name it. It's too late for me. I won't be able to do much, except pass on the name that's the key. The key to staying alive is the name reminds me of Doctor. Right. Every time the doctor figures out the name of the thing, what it is, it stops in its tracks. And he says something wittier figures out how to beat it. Or at least he gets to run away with his sidekick down. Doctor Who nerdy as fuck reference at a time like this. But I'm frazzled, son. S going down, then it'll come for me. It started last summer. I just got my bachelor's degree in philosophy. Sounds like a fucking waste of money. But I already had a job lined up, so... Lucky me, I guess, and my half-brother. His girlfriend and I were road tripping all over Europe. We're all spoiled rich white kids. Except my half-brother's girlfriend. Sarah, she is spoiled rich and Greek anyway. We did the whole damn thing, starting in England and France, and then all around the whole continent. And it was really cool and amazing experience. Even if it ate up a lot of money. We planned to end the trip in Greece, where Dave, that's my half-brother girlfriend's family, owned some estate on an island. She and Dave kept joking about hooking me up with one of her cousins, and I was getting pretty excited for it. Plus, I really had gotten into my major, and Greek mythology, so I was hoping to learn all sorts of cool stuff, and maybe see some ruins. I saw them, all right, and I wish I fucking hadn't. But I'll get there. So we get to the island, and we meet Sarah's family, and her cousins are hot, all right. Fucking gorgeous. But they don't want anything to do with me. In fact, they seem more interested in Dave, which pisses off Sarah more than anything else. So she decides to use me as an excuse to get Dave away from them and go see some caves on the other side of the island, which hurts my chances with these fabulous Greek ladies even more. But hell, I'm a nerd. Caves are cool, and I wanted to see him. So off we go, and when we get there, it's everything you'd expect. The beaches were all white sands, beautiful and sunny. These caves were volcanic or something. I don't know. But the rock was all black and shiny, like perfect photo contrast. Anyway, Sarah's leading the way, chatting us up the whole time, clinging to Dave. I can tell they're getting all romantic, and they never really wanted me along in the first place. I had just been an excuse to get away, so I decided to do the polite thing. I know, you never go off alone in a scary movie or that shit, but I was on a tiny, beautiful, sunny island in Greece. Couldn't have been more than a square mile, and I had a flashlight. So as David and Sarah stay in the main chamber of the cave, sucking face, I flick on my flashlight and head deeper into the caves. I can tell it's kind of veering off to the right and down a little, but I'm not worried. See, that's the big difference in horror movies and scary stories. You always get worried before the bad stuff happens. But I didn't. No hair standing up, no goosens, just calm, and I could still breathe fine and walk fine, just crouching down a little when suddenly the floor was gone. I fell for a few seconds into pitch blackness. I hit the ground hard. I would find out later that I fractured my tailbone, but at the time it was just a dull hurt. I had fallen on what felt like a bunch of dry sticks, and I had dropped the flashlight still. I wasn't panicking yet. The flashlight had been one of those super sturdy mag lights, and I was sure I could find it. That kind of confidence, my friends, is rewarded. My fingers closed around the cool metal of the light, and I'll admit, there was a brief moment where I was afraid to turn it on. I murmured a quick little prayer to whoever was listening, and let my thumb pause a while before pushing down the rubber button. The flashlight flicked on right away, but I almost wished it hadn't, because I could see the floor all around me, and what had felt like old, dry sticks bones, really old ones. I mean, like, these could have been Socrates' bones. That's how old they were, crunching away underneath me. After about a minute, I got over my panic and started looking around a little. Objectively, there were a lot of bones, enough to cover the floor of the 10-foot by 10-foot space. The walls were thick black, the same volcanic material of the rest of the cave, except for one point, about 5 feet off of the ground, where something had been painted on the wall in red. A circle, just a harmless, unobtrusive circle, albeit one that was painted in a dull crimson that almost had to be human blood. I suppressed a shiver and walked over toward it, my feet crunchy on them bones, them dry bones are. And I get right up close, shining the light on it, and still, it looks innocent enough, just out of place, so I reached my finger up and gently tapped the red circle. Then I felt it, all of the fear and anguish and horror that I should have felt when I first fell into the place. I could feel something, like blood and screams, and pain washed over the walls of that tiny chamber like layers of paint. And before long I realize it's me who's screaming, not for help, but just in this guttural, covenant fear. Dave and Sarah found me almost right away. I don't really remember them showing up or pulling me out of that place, but I must have been screaming right up until they pulled me out, because for the rest of the trip they kept asking me what I'd seen. I couldn't tell them about the circle. I don't know why. Whenever they asked, just say bones. I saw bones, and for the most part, they left me alone. They had each other. The trip ended 2 days later, and I was incredibly relieved to get on the plane, because since I had gotten out of that cave, I hadn't been able to sleep. I'm not the kind of guy who can go days without sleep. No, I don't even like to stay up that late. But the night after I got out of the cave, I just lay in bed, awake, unable to move, just feeling anxious all over. Every time I'd close my eyes, I'd feel the need to tear them open right away. The second night after the cave, the night before we left for home, was worse. It wasn't just anxiety anymore. It was the feeling that something was making me feel anxious. My eyes would scan the darkness constantly, obsessed with the feeling that there was some entity creeping along the edges of my vision, hunting me, watching me. I never saw anything, no monsters, just felt it. But the second I stepped foot on that plane, I felt safe, secure. I slept the whole 10 hours home, and felt well rested enough to forget about the whole ordeal, until it caught up to me. I don't know exactly how much time passed, not more than 2 weeks, and by then I honestly had forgotten about the creepiness. I had just started a management position at an office owned by a friend from college, and was adjusting pretty well to all the money I was going to be making. Life was looking up, and I was happy. All was well. Yada yada yada. Then it caught up to me. The first night was the same. Just anxiety, worry, the inability to sleep. I was concerned, but figured I was replaying the experience, or was maladjusting to work or something. I tried to shut it rationally from my mind and get over it. The night after that, I even got a little sleep, of course. The third night, the anxiety was back with a vengeance, and I sat in bed all night, lights on, looking and listening for something that was out there, hunting. That was 2 weeks ago. I know you don't believe me, ignoring all of the monster stuff. A person can't go that long without sleep, but I must have. I can account for every single minute that's passed these last 2 weeks. During the day, I'm fine. I did take naps. That's probably what saved me. But every night, the anxiety would get stronger and stronger, and the feeling that something was there would overwhelm me. I knew it now. Knew it was some tangible, existing monster. But I just couldn't know what it was. If I could find out what it was, what it looked like, what it wanted, I could stop it, or fight it, or run. Who am I kidding? I know what it wants. It wants me, and even with a name. I won't be able to fight it, but maybe, if I find out what it is before it gets me, I'll write its name on my walls or draw a circle. Time now. Anyway, the sun set, and I can really feel it tonight, as the night is, as hungry,